What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Wisco Madman coming at ya with another reaction video. If you guys haven't already, please be sure to smash that like button down below, hit that sub, and flip them notifications over to all. Now we're checking out some more Upchurch vlogs here. It says, what is coincidence? Time travelers, ghosts, and aliens. He's got this posted 2 months ago, March 7th, 2024. So let's grab our coffee and jump up in it. Once I get the share screen right.
Answer me this. You ever just sit back and think to yourself, like, when you're like reminiscing on your childhood or like a bunch of shit that's happened to you or a specific event that happened to you, you ever catch yourself wondering, how am I alive? Question mark. Or if you're in a position in life you thought you...
How am I alive? Yeah, that's like my daily life. Not make fun of anybody, but for me, it's like, dude, I've had quite a few near-death experiences, and I'll leave it at that for the most part, minus like the one that happened majorly out here that was like 2017, just about fucking drowned, impaled, whatever the fuck you want to call it, in Whitewater Rapids and shit. Long fucking story. Let's save that for a different video. But yeah, why am I alive? Every fucking day, bro. At a certain point, if you ever get a chance to stare at your own death for a while, yeah, you won't be the same, I'll tell you that.
You would never be in. Do you ever ask yourself, how did I get here? Question mark. Or do you ever get in like a car, or like just get a car, and you've never thought of this car or nothing like that, you just ended up with this car, and then you start driving the car, and then you start seeing these cars everywhere. Even if it's the ugliest car in the world and no one drives it, when you get one, you start seeing them everywhere. And last example, do you ever think of someone and you haven't thought of this person in 10, 12, 15 years? I ain't seen them, I ain't talked to them. You ever think about them and go do something in your daily routine you do every day or every other day, and you just so happen to see that person, you're like, what the fuck? What I'm getting at.
Energies, bruh. Energies. And I know that sounds like some hippy-dippy bullshit, but I don't know how else to explain it, man. If you've witnessed it, you've witnessed it. I mean, that's all I can say.
That is coincidence. What is coincidence? I know some people say stuff like, there's no such thing as coincidence, or that's not just a coincidence. But what is coincidence?
So I'll sidetrack off that just a hair here. People say there's no such thing as coincidence. You ever notice how human beings seem to have an answer for everything? I come from somebody like myself that, like, I Google, like, everything. I will go down fucking rabbit holes, and that's why I know, like, random tidbits about different shit. And I don't look to myself as an expert on it. Almost anything. But like, the nature of human beings, there's no such thing as coincidence. There's no such thing as luck. There is a God. There isn't a God. There's aliens. There isn't aliens. So many different things that obviously I'm just picking up what's off the top of my head because I'm still waking up and my brain's not clicking, but you get my point. Why are we so intent, and I can briefly touch on the division topic too, but we're so intent on knowing everything, to having an answer, having a belief, stance. You know, politics is a great example of that. A stance for everything that will cause division within ourselves, which is a lot of what we're seeing nowadays. Why? At the end of the day, does it matter? When you're taking a stance on something, and this is the wrap up of my little sidetrack rant. When you're taking a stance on something, ask yourself, is there any way, shape, or form this actually affects me, or is it just in my head? For instance, if there's somebody else is looking to do, I'd love to pick a hot button topic that doesn't affect somebody else, but the ones that I can think of right now would just create a debate in the comment section. But basically, I guess what I'm getting at is if what they want to do does not affect you in any way, shape, or form, doesn't affect your kids, doesn't whatever, why do you care? Live and let live, man. The older I get, the more I believe in it.
What is the act of a coincidence? And how do we have so many coincidences along our life? What is the probability of how many quote unquote coincidences some one person has in their whole life? Has to be an atomic probability. Or what if it ain't? Maybe it's not something that's even worth awing over. Because think about this. If everyone in the world has coincidences all the time, then that is a very common function of life that we slip in and out of all the time, but we don't ever take time to understand it because we just write it off as something that is so unexplainable. And people ask, how did that happen? Or how did this coincidence happen? What if we should be asking, what is this coincidence happening? Do you see what I'm trying to say? I don't know how to.
Yeah, I think we could all ponder things a little more often. Not that goes against what I was talking about, stances and whatnot, but we could. I think that's the other thing too, is a lot of people aren't in that open-minded status of just such as this thing. How do we explain coincidence? Well, you know, a lot of people are like, well, my book tells me it's God, or my book tells me it's shibby-doo-ah. I don't fucking know. You get what I mean. It's whatever the fuck they've been taught. No insults, just legitimacy here. So that kind of prevents getting into this idea of pondering, of wondering, of just playing with ideas in your head. The open-mindedness I spoke of. Not saying you can't be in some religious belief system and not still think for yourself. And just saying, it seems to be human nature in my observation that when you follow a certain belief system, you only listen to the beliefs that system has. And I know that seems to be a circle. It kind of is, but sometimes those systems don't always have answers for everything. And sometimes, and I've seen really good practitioners, and I just say practitioners, whatever, followers, however you want to call yourself for religious belief. I've seen it really interesting when people are okay with accepting that they don't know. People are okay with playing around with those open-minded ideas. Whereas, like, I grew up Catholic, so I'm not saying everybody was this way, and I'm not saying it was the worst experience in the world. But what I am saying is there's a lot of this is the way. Yes, just like the Mandalorian. But, yeah. People need to ponder shit more, man. Like, legit. They need to fucking wonder about stuff. Play with ideas. Be open-minded. Don't believe everything you're fucking told. You know? Don't believe everything I fucking tell you. You know? It don't matter who the fuck you are. Be more open-minded. Play with more shit. Human beings know almost nothing about existence in the world and all that shit. We like to act like we do, but we know like nothing. That is my strong belief.
How to word it, really? Like, what if coincidence is not like a thing that happens to a person and then another person and then another person? It's not just a coincidence happening. What if coincidence is this energy field or some sort of like layer or filter or something that is over our cognitive thinking? And it's not something that happens, it's something that is tapped into in certain moments. And we don't really know what it is, so we're like, I mean, that was weird, and we write it off. Because if you think about the word coincidence, we have incidences every day. But when you're not having that incidence, you're having a coincidence. Almost like there's a second version of you that does stuff either later than you are in present time or earlier than you in present time, which would go along with what? Deja vu. So pretty much like when people have deja vu, it's like people are like, oh my God.
Yo, deja vu be creepy as fuck. Like, for real, for real. There's some times where I'm just like, my brain feels broken when I start realizing some deja vu shit. Like, swear to God, I went through this before. Like, what or who or how, something's fucking with me, you know?
God, I feel like I've been here before. Or they'll be like, yo, I think there is a white barn with navy blue tin on it around this corner, I feel like. And then they go around the corner and there's this big fucking white barn with a navy blue roof. And you're like, how the fuck could I have known that? In theory, it would be the version of you getting there before present.
Actually, navy blue barn and whatnot, going off of that, right? What's interesting is I had an idea for this, and now I kind of it's the morning, bro. Oh, dimensions. That's what I was going with. Yeah, left field. Like the deja vu of I walk around the corner and there's this white barn with blue fencing. Whatever. I can't remember exactly what he said, but the details don't matter. That's something that I feel like we understand the dimensions in which we firsthand experience through our senses. But like quantum mechanics and quantum physics, all that shit that I have nowhere's near the understanding of. I like to think I'm capable of thinking. Till I look at shit like that, I'm like, nope. Leave you real smart people on that one. Anyway, my point is, in the idea of just being a simple human, I feel like some of that energy connection has something to do with some interdimensional type whatever. Like, I am literally at the wonderment stages of just playing with ideas that are hard to put words to. But I truly, like, oh, you know, there's this around the corner, but you've never fucking been there, right? Something is telling you that it's that way. I guess you could almost kind of, in a wonderment stage, pull in the man that didn't exist in my rearview mirror, the Mohican, right? Where the talking about the way that he's inspired to do music and stuff, like the different things speaking through to him, like the obvious of how church is so, he's just an endless knowledge of creating music. I guess that's the best way I can put it, like book, whatever. But he's always got more shit, dude. He's always innovating. He's always, and I remember earlier on, I've talked about this before with the Creaker albums. Like, it was around Creaker 1 when it was just like there was so much legendary shit that he was coming out with, and he would talk about some stuff like something speaking through him. You know, maybe it's the spirit of Johnny Cash, maybe it's the spirit of any of these legendary artists, right? But there again, we go back to this deja vu. We go back to this walk around the corner energies and whatever. We understand so little about various things in the world, and that's where I compare it back to interdimensional. Maybe something's in there too, you know. I love playing with these wonderment thoughts, dude.
You got there, which is why present you thinks to yourself, what made me think of that? Question mark. What if the answer is you made you think of that, just not the present you that you are? Maybe it's a co-op version of you. And if we have past, present, and future, and we are present, well, then there's a version of you that got the information before present you did. Who would that be? That'd be future you. The same version of you that's able to give you the feeling of this thing called deja vu, because they received the information before present you received the information, giving you deja vu. I try my best to make examples the way I understand them, because like, look, I know there's a lot of smart people on the internet. You got all these like Neil deGrasse Tyson type people, the Elon Musks, but I'm a redneck from Middle Tennessee, all right? So these types of people who...
Sorry for the background noise, but I felt that.
study this stuff all the time, they say that we live in the past, present, and future at the same time. And I don't really understand that until I think about cars and trucks. And I'll show you what I mean. So like, maybe this is kind of how it works. Okay, so here's past, present, and future. Here's you in a vehicle. We have the ability to pump the brakes or hit the gas. We choose the speed, right? But if we want to go 100 miles an hour and we're cruising at 70, we have to hit the gas in the present time to get to the future speed of 100. So in this very moment of you thinking of wanting to be at 100 miles an hour, you have to have an idea of the future in the present to eventually get there and make this future your present. Ain't that some shit? And you know how some people say you shouldn't live in the past? What if we are living in the past, in a sense? Because in order to make this truck go faster or have more torque, you have to have the idea in present time to go 100 miles an hour when you're going 70 in this time. These two swap. How to make it faster or slower is in the past. It is the collected data from these two things. So in order to make this truck different, more efficient, faster, more badass, you have to have past, present, and future to, in fact, change the present to what you want this truck to be like. So really, you're using past and future to make your present how you want. So in theory...
See, this is what happens when rednecks don't have quantum physics classes. And I'm not talking shit by any means. I'm actually talking shit more on the smarties. you got all these colleges that teach random different things, and we've seen a whole lot of fucking problems with colleges nowadays, right? But you can have really smart people that don't subscribe to whatever system you're trying to get them to subscribe to, in this case the universities. So what he just described is not in the language of these physicists, engineers, whatever the fuck they are, you know. But he is playing with those ideas. He is wondering, he is having a certain level of recognition and understanding to it. Now, it may never be accepted by those communities, but you see what I mean? He's doing what those guys do to an extent without being in their system of having to do it their way. It's wonderment. It's playing with ideas, and it's I feel like that's a big core to life, is just the simple open-mindedness, learning things, playing with shit, figuring out the world. You know, like, because we don't know what the fuck else the reason for being here is, so clearly we might as well play around a little bit.
There is no such thing as coincidence. Coincidence is a made-up word for when you understand how to use past and future as tools for your present time. It's a theory. I know how people are. So in theory, time is like a vehicle and a garage. The present and the future is like a gauge cluster. Your present being the ability, the future being the outcome, and the past being the garage with the dyno, which will be used to tune or fix the specs of your car or your present time. Dang. But here's the thing. That's just if you want to make your vehicle better. What if somebody wants to make your vehicle worse? Your present time worse? Well, let's look at this again. So if you want to make your vehicle better and faster and fucking more badass, you got to go from here to the collected data and then back to here. So it's present, da. If somebody wanted to make your vehicle worse, in theory, here's where they would do it, the past. How? Well, if you start here.
I mean, people love bringing up the past, huh? Or remembering it slightly different than in which it happened.
And you get here, and you're like, all right, what was the collected data? The collected data would be incorrect, but it'd be incorrect on purpose to make your present worse, to make your speed not what you want. Now, don't even think about trucks. Don't even think about nothing. Think about the world we live in. What do they seem to cover up the most? What seems to have the most incorrect information about it? The past. Our timeline of history. History is what? The past. Look at how they remember when they tore down they were starting tearing down monuments and all this stuff, and there was incorrect history coming out.
Those who delete history are bound to repeat it.
And all this other stuff. What did that do? It caused chaos in our present time. And sure, people can be like, oh, well, that kind of stuff's been happening forever. Yeah, but I'm 32 years old, finna be 33. I ain't never seen that many riots and fucking buildings on fire and shit like that. So if nothing, it was a spike of chaos. So if you can...
I mean, I like to think of it as the most recent stuff that we've seen post 2020 into riots and fires on Capitol buildings and supposed insurrections, and I'd like to think this, we'll call it 3-4 year time frame, is comparable to something like the 70s. You know, there was a lot of protests, the big music festivals like Woodstock and whatnot. fuck the war in Vietnam, all that kind of shit, right? And no disrespect to my Vietnam vets by any means. I appreciate everybody's service. You're not the ones picking what you're doing, People forget that, and then people also forget the fact that it ain't the military we're upset about. Sure, militaries go, 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 go. That's their job. So you can't even get mad at the generals because that's their fucking job. It's what they're hired to do. What you can get mad at is the people in charge of picking where and when, and not necessarily the hows. The hows is what they're trained to do. But you see what I'm saying? As soon as you make it to, like, let's say Secretary of Defense, right? They're on down, which is all of the military. Their job is to be able to accomplish any mission thrown at them, right? So now, whoever's deciding said missions, who's ever approving them, needs to be a little smarter. So, before you aim any hatred at, and I know this was a little digression again, but before you throw any hatred at people that are in the military, I don't agree with Iraq. I don't agree with Afghanistan. I don't agree with the 300 places that we're in Africa or Ukraine or whatever. So, point being, if you don't agree with those places, aim your hate, aim your issues more to Congress. Presidents are responsible too. But you're not going to solve the problem with the president. You aren't. You modify it a little bit, but the way the system's supposed to work is a checks and balance system. So, yes, modifying the president can help. Excuse me. Anyway, sorry. Yes, modifying the president can help. Keep in mind, I did have an obsession with political science. That's what I went to school for. No degree, but I went to school for it. Shout out Professor Hagman, one of my favorite professors of all time. Because he is the man who really taught me critical thinking, really taught me. I mean, there's many people that affected that, but open-mindedness, critical thinking, seeing through the bullshit. He taught me that. That's why I have this view on military and stuff, and that's why I don't subscribe to the president's the problem. Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Biden. I'll give you that. Wasn't a fan of everything Trump did either. I'm really not a fan of all the career politicians that are in office. We're not. Well, no. I'm gonna do this quick. Okay, so we have a total of 500. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted. We have a total of 535 members of Congress. 100 of them are U.S. Senate because there's 2 to each state. We have 50 states. The U.S. House of Representatives is what varies at 435, depending on populations and whatnot. So the reason why I bring that up, we have 535 people. 535 people. It's up to the citizens to start taking responsibility on that. That matters a whole lot more than I think a lot of people understand. So the next time you hear somebody say, I don't vote, my vote doesn't matter, or it doesn't matter who the president is anyway, 100% wrong. It doesn't necessarily matter who the president is. The parties have their power because of Congress. And I'm not saying Congress is the one and only, but Congress is the biggest issue. Just listen to a little bit of Tulsi Gabbard and you'll start to understand that. And that's not my only source, by any means. But she was a very strong Democrat from Hawaii who has chosen to leave the party behind and been ostracized for it. I grew up Democrat, by the way. I don't believe in them either. They fucking shit up. But then again, so is the right. So, yeah. You gotta... We digressed into politics. We started from where... Well, I say we, me. We started from the military and understanding of history and all that kind of stuff. And, okay, so backtracking to church started with this being the craziest time was kind of the idea I was getting from him, right? So I was comparing it to the 70s. A little bit of a digression, but we came back. I do like the way he's playing with this, though, because this is a great visual that he has here on paper. The collected data from the past, the gas, the brake, the simulating how your choices in the present make your future, which we're using a car truck, which is a perfect redneck analogy. But yeah, dude, I'd be... I love when there's people like this out in the world that don't necessarily follow any subscribing to academia and still have this wonderment. Maybe in some time in the past, universities, colleges fueled wonderment. Now I feel a lot of control here. But yeah, this shit's really cool, man.
Concentrate on these things, then your present life would be exactly what you want, I believe. But here's the thing. For every good person, there's a bad person somewhere, right? So if collected data is being interfered with, then that means your present time is being interfered with. And if your present time is interfered with, then you really can't have a good idea of the future because the past or your collected data is being interfered with.
So, pause again and pull back a little bit of the worldview thing again. We're not gonna delve into the whole politics thing this time. But he's using a great analogy that he's intending, and I'm taking in a good chunk of it as personal growth, right? Thinking about your personal life. But you can also use this in looking at world society or country society, however you want to look at it. And the messing around with collected data thing, that's why when people call you crazy for saying that agent provocateurs exist, they need you to not believe that agent provocateurs exist, because if you believe that, you might become privy to the collected data, the knowledge of the society being messed with. So society goes in different directions. The gas and brake, the adjustments, the whatever to get their future achievement, as he's explaining here, is getting changed. Like, dude, I'm telling you, the more people that play around like this, the more people that choose to be open-minded, choose to accept, try to focus on the positive of the message that church is passing forward here, instead of trolling in the comments. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people that... Again, I can be affected by the negative, right? I'm not invincible. So I do my best a lot of the time to stay the fuck out the comment sections. And I strongly debate, might start doing that on this channel overall. You might see a lot less comments from me. I might still throw hearts to show people that I care and whatnot, but I'm not... See what I'm saying? It might be time for me to focus on keeping my collected data free. Focus on keeping my attitude differently. because I think that's the only way that we continue aiming a good direction. But yeah, guys, I'm telling you, I'm suggesting to anybody who might be negative that comes across this video, like, just try to hear what he's saying here.
So if there is people that know how to use the past, present, and future to tune their present time, and they're using it for bad, they still can't touch the future. They can just kind of guide the future with these two, the past and the present. Because you got to think, if that happens, they're keeping you in the they're keeping you tangled up in the present. So you cannot see a good future clearly, because this is so the present time is so chaotic, because they changed some things here in the past that made the present so chaotic that nobody can actually have a good, clear vision of the future. And I mean, that would explain why so many people think the world's finna end. Maybe the present time we live in has been so tainted that people just can't even see a future at all. They're like, fuck, it's gonna end.
Moving on to our next topic.
All right, now let's talk about ghosts, time travelers, and aliens. All right, so first off, when you think about the history of time, what do you think about? What does your brain go to? The past. Ghosts are from the past, right? Okay, time travelers are from the future. If this is present...
Yeah, I would say that's traditional knowledge. I don't subscribe so much to the Christian belief system on that. Again, that's why I speak of energies and shit like that. There's parts of me that's still influenced from the Catholic upbringing, believing, grandma's watching over me and that kind of stuff, which is a comforting thought, for sure. I understand the point behind it. But ghosts, I don't know what my full belief is behind it. I believe in existence of it. I believe anything's possible, really. But again, with the possibility of infinite dimensions, that energy could play anyway, any way, shape, or form. I don't have a hard explanation to it. I'm curious to see what he's playing with, though.
Time right here. Look what is closest to the timeline of life. Mm-hmm. The past, right? Then you got the present. Then you got the future.
Hang on. Paused at the wrong point. I gotta go back to right before he brings the chart.
What do you think about? What does your brain go to? The past. Mm-hmm. Ghosts are from the past, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Time travelers are from the future. If this is present time right here, look what is closest to the timeline of life. The past, right? Then you got the present, then you got the future. Here's my question. Why are time travelers, why are they in a solid form like we are? Every story you hear, it's in physical form, just like me and you. And where are they? They're in the present time. Okay, well, if the future is a place we can't go to, and the past is not a physical place we can go to, then why is a ghost an apparition, and why is a time traveler in physical form like we are? Shouldn't a ghost and a time traveler both be ghostly apparitions? Or shouldn't they both be in physical solid forms that we could touch? How are they different? So myself, obviously, and everybody watching this video, all of our starting point was in present time. So if we are here in present time, and this is the past and this is the future, I could see how a ghost or an apparition could be a thing, because when you die, you become something of the past. So I feel like you would function somewhere between the past and the present. Like, I could understand that. But I don't understand the time traveler thing. If time is the line that we function on, One, why is somebody quote unquote said to be from the future? Why are you in a solid form?
What if it's all in our own perception? Because the present is always in which you are in, right? That's what you call present. So what he's talking about with wire ghosts this way, and yeah, but operating between what you're saying is the present and what you're saying is the past. See, again, there's infinite timelines, buddy. This is what we've learned about a lot of this quantum mechanics crap. And I'm using quantum mechanics and quantum physics as a interchangeable word. I don't. Nope. Make my brain explode. Too much. I can do this pondering shit, but the college version, nah, I'm good. Like they gotta put numbers and hardcore explanations to all kinds of shit. I just want to play Wonderment. I'm good. Yeah. So perception in what is actually the present. What if you're the ghost? What if you're, you know what I mean? Perception is reality. So from where you're sitting, you're seeing all this shit that you're playing with. And saying a ghost is in between present and past, operating on that particular timeline. Again, multiple timelines. Yeah. She's an interesting thing for sure. And I'm not saying multiple timelines have been proven, but it just seems so logical to me at this point. And maybe it's from watching a shit ton of Rick and Morty. Maybe it's from all the various, I want it to be real kind of thing. Which I have no benefit to it being real. It's just what's in my head, But I know the Christianity I was raised on is so hard set on what we knew in those times, and that's why I don't believe that book was written by God. I mean, if God's all-knowing, why is the knowledge in that book only that which they could understand in those times? So, somebody's going to get mad at me in the comments on that one. I'm evil. I'm sorry. Get mad at me. It's cool. Still believe in God, and your opinion's not going to affect my belief. Yeah. I think it's a perception issue here. I really do. Sorry, I'm tired, so I should probably hit play and we can ponder some more along the way.
2, how are you in a time that you weren't even thought of or born in yet? How can you even come here? Not only that, remember, you're in solid form. What the fuck? If you were able to travel in any time, why wouldn't it be from past to present, just like a ghost? So why isn't a time traveler the same as a ghost? And a time traveler is coming to a time he was not born in yet, and a ghost is coming to a time they didn't get to live to. Here's the weird thing. Both of those things are meeting in present time inside your brain. Nowhere else. It's just an idea inside a person's brain in the present time. That's the reality of things. Here's us, here's a time traveler, here's a ghost. Why are they both meeting here inside of our brain? I mean, we can't go to these places. I mean, we know we can go, we know we can die. But if we die, then we're not here anymore. Wouldn't that apply to the future as well? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. Let's move on to the last topic.
Outside your perception, though, if you become the time traveler, you can go to the past too. So that's where I see a slight variance in this experiment. But I like the play. I do. I don't know why his chart, and maybe somebody wants to throw it in the comment section, why his chart, why was time on the bottom and past, present, future was vertical? That's the part of the axes descriptions that I didn't quite understand. Because and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the logic. I'm trying to understand that part of the logic that he was picking. Because the way I'm thinking, you got the timeline and your past, present, future. You know what I mean? So, just interesting. Alright, let's see the next one he's got.
Do I believe in aliens? Not how most people believe in aliens. Do I think aliens drive vehicles?
Before he describes too much, so you guys can see where my base point is, I believe the potential for aliens to exist. I believe they've already been to Earth, or another species has already been to Earth. People play with aliens like it's always got to be advanced or it's always got to be lesser than. I simply look at it as another species of organism. And I say organism because you can't say animal, you can't say whatever. You don't fucking know. See, I'm not burdened by any one religion telling me that human beings are the superior existence. I don't care about supremacy. I don't want to be better than anybody. I just want to be me. And that's going to hurt some people's brains out there. I don't mind competing for fun. But I think some people get too caught up in it. Aliens' existence is seems logical. If the universe is infinite, you know? So, I think that pretty well describes enough of my opinion. More of my thoughts on the matter prior to church digging into it.
No. I think everything that we've seen that everyone says is a UFO, I do not believe that aliens are driving them. I think we are driving them. And listen, don't bite my head off, but this is
logical. I mean, it's a very valid opinion, and I've leaned towards that. I don't know what it is. I don't. I think we have them though. The Pentagon's had them the whole time. No shit, Sherlock. Like, gee, we needed to wait another 50 years for that one? At this point, it's wait 50 years to be exposed, and what we all think is what happened is probably pretty much what the fuck happened, because the government they're not smart enough or grounded enough, or they can't handle the truth. Shut up.
This is coming from somebody who has had and has filmed UFO.
Just like, I'm probably going to get dinged by YouTube for this one. JFK was assassinated by our CIA. Or the Mafia. Or both.
UFOs, unidentified flying objects. And I mean, look, I'm not talking way far away either. This one time, me and Kansas Rebel Man on YouTube, we were driving through Daniel Boone National Park at like 3 a.m.
Yo, I remember watching them videos. I might even have reactions to those if they were on YouTube. I'm not sure.
And we were sitting here joking. We were joking about, well, if these things are, I think I said something along the lines of, well, if these things are so damn smart, then they can probably hear us talking about them right now, and they're probably laughing their ass off. And if they could hear us, I wish they'd show themselves. And as soon as I said that, this big ass weird look, it wasn't even like a fucking real shape. It didn't have wings. It had like, it's like if you took a shark, the shape of a shark, like a great white shark, and cut the tail off, That's what it looked like. And keep in mind, this.
So I'll put it to you this way. What he just described, they're talking about it. They can probably hear us, and I wish they'd show themselves. You know what's funny about that? Religion. I'm pretty sure the creation of every single religion was either because of something like that or to manipulate people. Or both. Just think about that. Wonderment shit, man. Gotta love it.
This thing was low. Like, if you ever drive through Daniel Boone National Park, look how tall the trees are. It was about 30 feet above the trees. Actually, I'm gonna draw for you what it looked like. By the way it moved was like weird. Like, it was moving the same speed as my Dodge Charger down the interstate, but it was also kind of drifting in front. It was moving in two directions at once, the best way I can explain it. Even the person behind us seen it. The person that was following us behind, we waited a minute, and I was like, bro, I'm gonna call them and ask them. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna see if they call and ask us. We let 10, 15 minutes go by, and I was like, man, I'm calling them. I said, yo, and she said, you can ask Kansas. She goes, did you see that thing in front of y'all? And I was like, oh my God, I'm getting the fuck out of here. This is exactly what this thing looked like, bro. I don't know what the function is of this or why the colors is the way it is, but the back of it looked like if you took tree sap and lit it up with a light. It didn't even look like fire or nothing. The thing on the front and the top looked like broken off like pieces of an iceberg with a light in it. And then this was like a fucking, it wasn't black, it was like a gray color, like a flat gray. And then the windows looked like something, like a kind of light I ain't never seen before. It was like non-traveling light, like the moon. It just looked like soft, matte white. Now, you gotta keep in mind, like, I think we drive these things. Like, keep that in mind. So as we're watching it, me and Kansas are both kind of like, what the hell? Because it lasted like a good 35, 45 seconds. I looked down and every light on the inside of my Hellcat was purging, like, boo, 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 boo. I was like, what the hell? The gauge cluster started doing it. And I looked down, I was like, what the hell? Then I noticed the radio. Then I looked in the floorboard. Then I looked in the door handle, and I was like, bro, every light's doing this. I said, are you doing that? He's like, no. So the person that was in the back seat, I was like, hey, you flicking a button or something? And I turned around, they were asleep. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of freaked out. That's why I was hoping somebody was doing something. And if you know me, you know that I love cars. And if the lights are doing that, then you'd expect the performance of the car to at least like start dying down or something, like maybe a dead battery. No, there was no lack in my foot on the gas. There was no no, it was just the lights. Plus, what are the chances of that happening right when we're talking about that kind of stuff? Now, let's go to how I think. I think we drive those. I think the military drives them. That whole happening seems like the personality of a human, like, hey, let's freak these motherfuckers out. And we all know that they can listen to us. Yeah. Especially if it's 3 in the morning and I'm on Daniel Boone Highway. And me and the car behind me is the only car out there. Why wouldn't you be like, hey, you want to freak them out? I would. Then again, that's only a UFO encounter. That's not an alien encounter. It'd be an alien encounter if it fucking landed and was like, yo, we're aliens. Then I'd be like, well, damn, that was an alien encounter. But it wasn't. It was a aircraft I've never seen. I'm sure there's plenty of aircrafts we've never seen. I mean, hell, the idea of a flying vehicle has been an idea for like 100 years. Here's my question about aliens. Why do people think they drive vehicles? If they're so smart and they're telepathic, don't you think they can teleport? They wouldn't need a vehicle. Also, why did they used to...
That kind of goes back to the idea of the Navy pilot's account of like, 60,000 feet down to like sea level and into the water and all that interesting shit like that.
To be illustrated as green, and now they're gray. Where'd the green come from? The green is the color of nature. Where else is the color green besides a green screen? A green screen and nature. There's no green planets, no green stars.
Well, the green aliens, if I understood what he's saying, is green. The green aliens before they were gray, right? I would imagine that correlated actually closer to the ideas of Area 51 and S4 and all that Nevada complex shit, because it was nuclear testing, pretty sure. I think it was nuclear, yeah, because I think that's where the ideas of, like, New Mexico and Nevada are where the ideas for, like, the Hills Have Eyes, the Nuketown shit, like, all that stuff comes from these testing grounds. And, glowing green from radiation.
Why did people think they were green? Then why did it change to gray? Like a gray area? Then people was like, oh, it's been being documented since the caveman days. Well, how do you know? Well, these cave paintings. You mean to tell me there's still paintings inside caves? From the damn caveman times. But I can't buy exterior paint for my house that lasts more than 15 years? Yeah, right. The closest thing I could say that I believe in to what...
Yeah, that is the one thing I have found interesting. Like, I think we can refer to, like, as far as intelligent race, the Egyptians and whatnot, and how they used to do, like, tablet drawings and different things. But, like, caveman, Neanderthal, like... Why would cave paintings still be around? That's a good point. I wonder if that part of our history... I could see cave drawings of some sort, if there's etching or there's some sort of staining involved. But depending on what they use, even if they use blood or mud or whatever, why would that stay for thousands of years? That is a good point, Church. Because I really do want to play this with an intelligent aspect, because I'm sure there's plenty of accusations, Church or myself being, oh, you're just stupid rednecks. I grew up with it. I'm used to it, man. But, yeah, what chemically? We don't have to, like, dive deep down into the molecule makeup necessarily, but just, was there certain types of berries they were able to smash or something that would stain the rock that would stick around? Is there some sort of evidentiary from that time to say that these drawings actually came from that time? Or is this just some bullshit where, oh, the mud dried on and yeah, it lasted 5,000 years till we discovered it? Bullshit.
Some would call an
Pause
alien is a supernatural human. How do you get a supernatural human? That's a whole nother video. But I believe there's a way to get, actually to transform yourself into a supernatural human. But it involves your ideology, it involves your fucking diet, it involves your way of life, it involves who you talk to every day, it involves how many people you talk to every day. It's a long list. But I think there are those. And I think supernatural humans get attacked, and I think they get made fun of, and I think they are looked at as weird in our society. The whole alien thing, I think there's supernatural humans, but I don't think there's aliens. I think they're trying to tell y'all that there's aliens to cover up the fact that there is supernatural humans. But let me know what you think in the comments. If this was interesting, if it was not interesting. Yeah. And I hope you all have a good day. See y'all later.
Hell yeah, man. I love when Church plays around with this kind of shit, honestly. I think it's fun. It's interesting to me. I appreciate having other human beings that share this curiosity with me. Because I'll tell you, as somebody who talks a lot and loves to play with just stupid, random shit, you know, pondering different ideas and whatever else. The average human being, I'm used to getting pretty annoyed by this. You know, not just talking a lot in general, but just like wonderment and all that kind of stuff. So having somebody like Church that really does enjoy that, that really does share that open-mindedness and wonderment, I appreciate these videos, man. I really do. Y'all like this reaction video, go ahead and smash that like button. Thank you guys for commenting, sharing, and subscribing. As always, I really do appreciate y'all being here. Check out Church's page, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.